This channel is proudly brought to you by...
I don't give a fuck what you think, bitch.
Thinking on my brain. Okay. Thinking on my brain. I got thinking on my brain. Whoa.
What's up, guys? It's Mike the Mgtow again, bringing you another video. So oh my, do I have a surprise for you guys. So, I don't always get a chance to check my mail as often as I'd like, and this ain't the first email I've gotten, but this is the funniest email I've ever gotten from a whammon. Usually I'll just sit there and I'll ignore their their emails. I'll ignore their little attempts to get a hold of me. I read them for my own enjoyment, my own sick enjoyment, might I add, that they would try to get to guys like me and try to manipulate and infiltrate and da-da-da-da-da. I don't let a woman influence me. You can try to email me all you want. I'm just going to make fun of you, as you're about to find out. So, there's this woman that she was going to get married. And basically, her man left her because she was foolish enough to leave her laptop open, her computer. And I guess he got nosy and went through her browser history and seen that she used to spy on Mgtow content. So he got curious and he checked out Mgtow content, and then he canceled the wedding. He had proposed to her, but he had canceled the wedding. So I'm going to read to you the letter that she had sent me explaining all of this. It's quite funny, actually. So it starts off, she says, "Dear Mike, I know you didn't expect an email from an ex-feminist woman, but here I am. I am a woman, and I am an ex-feminist. I just thought I'd mention that, so I'm not here with hate towards men. I'm far more mature at age 34 than I was in my 20s. And so I feel like I'm perfect wife material." Now guys, I gotta pause for a second. Notice how she says she's ex-feminist. She's got a motive for that. It's because she must have watched enough Mgtow content to know that most of us say that, dark female nature, it's universal. Whether they're feminist or not, most women are feminist regardless. But she thinks, that we're going to just gloss over the fact that she just admitted that she's mature at age 34, more so than she was in her 20s. Yeah, bitch, we know how that works out. We know what you're saying. Basically, she was the, you can't call me a slut. She was one of those type of feminists in her 20s, rode the cock carousel, and now that she's approaching the wall, she wants a beta male provider. That's clearly what she wants. That's why she's saying, "Oh yeah, I'm different from what I was in my 20s. I'm not a feminist. I'm perfect wife material." Yeah, that's what all you bitches think. After you hit 30 years old, 35 years old, somewhere in there, trying to land you a beta male provider before you're 40. You all think that you're wife material. You all say that. That's why you say yes. You say yes to the proposal, but then you piss on the marriage later. So anyways, moving on, she goes on to say, "And I'm confident that if I get married, that I won't be another statistic like so many women." And then she goes again with the "I'm a Nawalt" spill. But here in Mgtow, we believe in AWALT. All women are like that. So yes, you will be a statistic if you get married. Quit bullshitting. You're not bullshitting me. And then she goes on to say, "I've known about Mgtow for a few years now, and I've quietly studied it from a distance. A lot of what you guys teach each other used to offend me, but I've grown to accept a lot of what you say is true. Eventually, I stopped watching the content a few months ago, and then a few months has passed since I last watched any of y'all's content, until my recent boyfriend/fiance was being nosy, and he was looking through my YouTube history and seeing the old Mgtow videos that I had watched. He asked me about them, and I told him I stumbled upon a group of men who hate women. And, I gotta pause here for a second, guys. Isn't it interesting, how she says she studied it quietly from a distance? It's because she knows she can't bullshit us. She knows she can't bullshit us. So yes, she's going to make the claim that she studied us from a distance, yada, yada, yada. But she left it on her browser history. And her fiance stumbled across it. And of course he asked her about it. And she sat there and bold-faced lied to him, to his face, and said that we're just a group of men who hate women. No, we're a group of men who talk about dark female nature and how this system is gynocentric and it's leaned in a woman's favor, and they will, crucify a man in divorce court. They will divorce rape you as a man in divorce court in favor of the woman most times. That's not hate. That's telling the fucking truth. But of course, she even says right here, it's just very interesting at the beginning of this. She says that she doesn't have hate towards men at the beginning of this letter. But here in the bottom, she paints Mgtow as a group of men that hate women, when all we're doing is telling the truth. That's what her response was to him. And I'm guessing from the way that the story is going to unfold later, that from what you're about to hear, I'm guessing that he knew she was bullshitting, and that she obviously had something to hide, some other future motives and agendas that she wasn't going to admit. If she was such a truthful woman, she wouldn't have had to sit there and lie about us. We don't hate women. It's not hate. We understand women, and that's the problem. Most men are left in a fog their whole lives, not allowed to understand or document dark female nature. We aren't allowed to put two and two together when it comes to women. So by you painting us in a false light, simply because we understand your dark nature, he probably continued to watch Mgtow content and realized that you were full of shit. But anyways, let's continue to see this letter, guys, because it only gets better. It only gets better. Here we go. She goes on to say, needless to say, he's started to act strangely over the next few weeks, and I noticed a change in his behavior. He started talking with me less and less. And then suddenly he started asking me a lot of questions about what I thought about him, and if I really loved him, and why I loved him. I found it often hard to answer his questions on the spot, so I must have seemed very nervous. Realizing later that I had exposed him to Mgtow, I then asked him if he had been watching Mgtow videos, and he said yes. And he also said that it was your channel that he's been watching recently the most. I asked him if he was still marrying me, and he said he was quite unsure. We got into an argument. I then got angry and yelled at him and pleaded that I'm not like the ones who use men to get ahead. And then I told him I would not be giving him the ring back if he left me for no reason, and didn't follow through with the proposal. But he did not seem very bothered by that. Alright, I gotta pause for a second, guys. You see what she's saying here? Basically, he was studying dark female nature, and he was acting differently around her. It's because he was catching on to her bullshit. There must have been a lot of things that she's not telling us that he caught on to. Things that she was doing, things that she was saying, and he was asking her a lot of hard questions, and she wasn't answering them in a logical or proper way. And so he was doing his little analysis there. The benefits versus the lack of benefits. Does he want to take this road of potential destruction after looking at all the stats? No, he started backing away. Then he started, questioning her, with her motives. And because she was nervous, he started to doubt her. And it's because he was becoming red-pilled. And of course, she didn't give a shit about that man. She just wanted to get something out of it, some type of cash and prizes. And when she saw that she wasn't going to get the marriage, that he was going to most likely back out, she threatens him and says, oh, I'm going to keep the ring. That was her way of saying, oh, I'm going to keep something. I'm going to get cash and prizes. But he didn't seem too bothered by that. And she goes on to say, Needless to say, he left me, and apparently the night before he left, he had switched my ring in my sleep, which was sitting on the dresser next to my headboard. He switched it with a cheaper model that looks exactly like the ring that he used to propose. And it is plated with gold instead of being solid gold. And it has cubic zirconia instead of actual diamonds like the original did. I know because after he returned the original ring to the manufacturer for the full retail price, he later asked, he also asked for the cheaper one that looked exactly like it from that same retailer, with the exact model as the one that he had returned. Of course, I had no idea that he had switched the original ring with a far cheaper one, and I assumed I had on the same ring the entire time. So when he had asked for it back, I simply laughed at him and said, "Only on my dead corpse will you ever get this ring back." To which he then laughed and replied, "I knew you was going to say that, which is why I switched the rings in advance while you were sleeping. I only came back to see if I could retrieve the cheaper knockoff and refund that one too." And before I could confront him, he just got inside his truck and drove off. I had doubted that he had switched the rings, but after I visited a jeweler, I found out he did in fact make a switch. Yes, he paid for that ring, but I didn't do anything wrong, so I didn't want to give him the original ring. And the only reason why my marriage was ruined was because he watched channels like yours. You see, guys, she's trying to blame me for the fact that he caught on to dark female nature. And she's also mad that he foiled her little plot to keep the ring if he backed out of the marriage. So he switched it in her sleep with a cheaper knockoff. And who does she blame? Me, of course. You know, it's always a man's fault. It's always a fucking man's fault, isn't it, guys? You know, it's not hers for not answering his questions properly. When he had asked her, you know, why does she love him and what does she love about him? She was too nervous and couldn't answer it properly because she does not love the guy. She just wanted the cash and prizes. But she wants to blame guys like me. You know, maybe if you would, instead of spying on Mgtow, you could have minded your own fucking business. Maybe he wouldn't have been so curious to find our content. But either way, I thank you. I thank you for helping to red pill another man by being foolish and not deleting your browser history. Thank you for that. So apparently one of my latest subs is this man. And you can remain anonymous if you wish to be anonymous, or you can let us know in the comments who you are. Because I honestly wish that you would tell us who you are, because I want to know who this guy is. Because that is so genius. You stumble upon Mgtow content, you back out of the proposal after you question her with a bunch of questions that she could not answer, in a truthful light. Then you switch the rings. You switch the original ring, which apparently she puts it at the bottom here in parentheses that the ring had costed $3,500, which is not the most expensive ring, but the knockoff apparently costed $150. So this man switches this expensive ass ring with $150 fucking knockoff, and just for as an insurance policy in case she doesn't give him the ring back. So that way there's no, having to, get an argument, have some type of domestic issue. Because, as a man, if you've been watching Red Pill content, if you try to get that ring back by force, the white knight police officers will show up and they'll arrest the man for domestic abuse, which will look really, really, really bad later on. As a man, you don't want that on your record. So, he foiled her plot and swapped the rings without any type of physical altercation that could potentially, alter his life in a negative fashion. He outsmarted her, but she wants to blame guys like me. Maybe you should have, got on your knees a little bit more. We always say that most guys are blowjob away from the plantation. But a lot of you Western bitches, you just don't suck enough dick to keep a man around to begin with. So, anyways, this is the end of her letter here. She goes on to say, he proposed, and I said yes. My only mistake was watching your content and not deleting the browser history. Exactly, that's just exactly what I had pointed out. Yes, you should have deleted your browser history. Anyway, she goes on to say, so now my man has left me. Please, if there's any way that you and I can meet up, even if it's through something like Skype, so I can prove I'm not like the other women that you guys often talk about. And then you can speak with my ex and convince him that I am different. And then she goes on to say her name, which we're not going to repeat here. Now, guys, that is a desperate plea. Because, number one, I'm not meeting up with any strangers through my YouTube channel or anything like that through any online avenues. I'm not doing that. I am not putting myself at risk. For all I know, you could be out to try to attack me and get me locked up out of some sort of sick revenge. Or maybe you want to do worse and run me over or shoot me. I don't know what your fucking intentions are. So no, I will not be meeting up with you. And will I Skype with you? Fuck no. Fuck no. I think it's great. I think it's fantastic that he ran across my Mgtow content and others because of you. And I am glad that he's not marrying you. I'm glad that he's not getting in that, that contract between you and the state. I'm glad that he is a free man. At least as far as that goes. So, no, I will not be contacting you. And no, I will not be responding to your email other than this video. So, let this be a warning to all of the whammon out there. Don't send me fucking letters like this, because I'm just going to read it in front of the class. Anyways, guys, stay free, stay Mgtow. This is Mike the Mgtow Man signing off, and as always, never give in, never surrender. Mgtow for life.